Yes, indeed. Welcome to the show. It's Ringside Report MMA. Tonight, we're going to preview UFC 287. Israel Adesanya against Alex Pereira, the UFC middleweight title. Rematch time in the UFC. And we're going to talk Endeavor purchasing the WWE and a WWE UFC merger. Let's go.
Let's go!
Yeah, I'm ready to go. We got stuff to talk about here tonight, and my main man Fred Garcia is with me. We got no AJ tonight, Fred, so we can have a serious discussion. We won't be marred down by any kind of AJ hijinks, AJ nonsense.
But let me give him his props, because as we do a show without AJ, I'm scared that, me and you, we're a little bit too much aligned sometime. We think a lot alike, and we need AJ. So AJ will be missed, but let's see what it does.
Of course, AJ is the straw that stirs the drink. He makes it all work. And, AJ's not here tonight because he's helping the priest at church, I think.
No clue.
I'm not really sure. He's celebrating the holidays. It's a holiday season, Fred. Of course, it's Easter.
I'm going to my mom's tomorrow, so.
You're going to your mom's for Easter?
Yep. I like me, man, it's a 3-party weekend, man. Tomorrow, my mom's. The day after tomorrow is your daughter's birthday and my father's birthday. And then on Monday, I got my in-laws. So, yeah, it's a weekend of pure Easter. A lot of ham, a lot of eggs, hopefully maple syrup.
Ooh. So no matzah.
I've never had that.
You've never had matzah?
I'm not even sure what it is.
Wow.
I know.
I'll get you a box of matzah. You could try it out. It's not, I don't love it.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
Uh-oh.
It's a little dangerous. I'm like a super cool guy with everybody, man. Like, I love everybody.
Yes.
But when it comes to food, I'm a little... I like my North American food. Let's just put it like that, okay?
Wow. You don't like Chinese food?
Yeah, but it's cooked in North America, so I know it. Like, I know what I know. I love what I know. Okay, I'm a little bit hard to try new stuff.
Matzah is basically a cracker, Fred. There's nothing weird about matzah. It's a cracker.
All right, so I might try that.
It's an unsalted cracker. There's nothing weird or scary about matzah.
You see, I thought it was like some cheese. It sounded like mozzarella, you see?
Well, my people are currently celebrating the holiday that is associated with matzah. Of course, we're not eating anything leavened. We're eating strictly the matzah. No bread, no pizza, no cake, no nothing fun. If you're strictly observing, which I don't anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. Thankfully, because I can't do it. It's my daughter's birthday on Saturday, like you mentioned, so I need some cake. And if I was strictly observing Passover, I would not be having any cake. So I will be partaking in some cake, but definitely celebrating Passover, wishing all my friends a happy Passover. Fred thought matzah was a cheese, which I think is great. I love it. Fred, tell me one thing that you know about Passover. Is there anything you know about Passover? Do you know the story of Passover, where it comes from? Do you know how long it lasts?
Holiday?
Anything.
It's a Jewish
holiday. Yep. I think I gave that one away when I said I was celebrating it. What else you got?
You probably have to pass over at somebody's house.
Not exactly. There was an angel of death. There was an angel of death who you had to put lamb's blood on your door because the Jews were enslaved by the Pharaoh in Egypt. And as a final threat from God, as a final plague, Moses was told to tell the Pharaoh, and he did, that all the Jews, we're going to put lamb's blood on our doors so that the angel of death passes over. And everybody else that doesn't do that isn't a Jew, well, their firstborn will be killed. And that's how the Jews were freed. The Pharaoh was like, no. Get the hell out of here, Jews. Stop killing the firstborns. God. Yeah, that was the story of Passover. It's a little more complicated than that. I gave you a shortened version. There were plagues. There was a lot going on. The Jews were enslaved. It was a whole thing. Moses and all of that. And then the Red Sea was parted. They parted the sea. You know about Moses parting the sea? You ever heard about that, Fred?
Yeah, in one of Tupac's songs.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's part of Passover. When the Jews were escaping, the Egyptian soldiers were coming after the Jews, and Jews were like, uh-oh, what do we do? And then Moses was like, God, little help. And then God was like, psh, parted the sea. It's like, walk through this. And then the Jews were like, this is kind of crazy. So then they did. And then once they got to the other side, God was like, psh, sea is back. And then all the Egyptian guys got drowned. It's pretty good. Pretty good deal. Moral of the story, don't enslave people. All right? Not cool. Not cool.
I'm too scared Passover. To say. I love Joe Rogan in the you see I'm going in the dangerous place again. Mm-hmm. He has an album out. It's not me.
Oh, I don't know.
Joe Rogan has an album out called Happy Shiny Jihad.
Ooh. And I think you're already gone too far.
It's not me. It's Joe Rogan, and
he
has a skit
Joe
about
Rogan. Joe Rogan was quoting
wars.
People saying the N-word, and he got in trouble. You can't quote. It doesn't work. It's not a safety.
And his basic his like word throughout the sketch was basically like, you believe the crazy shit. No, you do.
Everybody. Because, well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people believe all sorts of. Wonky things. These are just stories. You know, to me, these are stories that I've heard that I know about, and that's all it is to me. But happy Passover, happy Easter to all our friends, and happy, I think, is Ramadan still going on? Fred, you would know. You live near a mosque, right? I think it's still going on.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's still going on.
It started like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's still going on. What a holiday season. Passover, Ramadan, and Easter all at the same time. Exciting times. Almost as exciting as they are in the world of combat sports. WWE and UFC are now owned by the same company. I mean, what? Endeavor has purchased the WWE. Vince is staying on as the executive chairman of this new company. And Dana White, of course, is staying on as the president of the UFC. But if you look closely in this corporate structure, Vince is actually Dana's boss. Vince is higher up on the food chain than Dana White. I wonder how that sits with Uncle Dana. Ari Emanuel, of course, is the CEO of Endeavor, and he's the kind of lead guy on all of this. Ari Emanuel. If you saw the show Entourage, the character Ari Gold, the agent, was based off this guy, Ari Emanuel. Of course, his brother Rahm Emanuel was the mayor of Chicago and a Obama guy, right? Fred, you know about Rahm.
I did not know they were related.
Oh, no.
I know both guys, but
yeah, no, they're brothers. Very powerful guys. Hey, speaking of Passover, for the first time ever, my friends, the WWE is Jewish owned. Not bad. So Vince McMahon is the executive chairman of this new company. Mark Shapiro is the president and COO of Endeavor and NewCo, which is what they're calling this thing. I guess they'll come up with a better name for it at some point, but right now it's just NewCo, new company. I don't know. Dana White staying on as the UFC president, Lawrence Epstein staying on as the UFC COO, and Nick Khan staying on as WWE president. So this kind of puts Dana White and Nick Khan at the same level, right? There's Ari Emanuel, then there's Vince.
Which is normal. I mean,
then there's Dana and Nick Khan.
Like, basically, Vince is more at the level of the Fertittas, where the Fertittas were, and Nick Khan is basically what Dana White was to the Fertittas. Nick Khan is to Vince McMahon. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah. Dana was asked
They're
about
all making a shitload of money.
Yeah, Vince is making a ton of money off this. Vince got a ridiculous deal for himself. Tremendous deal. Dana was asked about it at the press conference. There was a UFC 287 press conference this evening, and Dana was asked about it. He didn't answer any questions about it. He's like, yeah, it's great. The company's great, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the fighters and da-da-da. Usually Dana would address questions about other things, but in this instance, he didn't want to. And just his vibe made me wonder about how old Dana is feeling right now, because there was another question. Now, this goes into Kevin Holland and Jorge Masvidal. I don't know if you saw this. They got into a bit of a scuffle at the hotel yesterday. They're both on this UFC 287 card, not fighting each other. Masvidal's fighting Gilbert Burns in the co-main event, and Holland's fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio. But Holland and Masvidal got into it at the hotel yesterday, and then somebody asked about it at the press conference, and Dana White just completely shut it down. He's like, stop trying to start shit between these guys. That's not what we're here for. They're not even fighting each other. Don't ask these questions. And then other people later on in the press conference tried to bring back the issue, and Dana shut it down immediately. Somebody even asked Ponzinibbio, like, hey, what do you think about Kevin Holland getting into a scuffle with Masvidal? Do you think maybe he's not entirely focused on you? And Dana's like, don't even answer that question. So I may be reading into it a little bit too much, but this is my read on it, okay? Dana doesn't want to answer questions about the WWE UFC merger thing, and he's shutting down questions that would provoke a pro wrestling style promo chaos type answer. So I'm wondering how Dana is feeling about this whole WWE thing, because I see it as Dana is maybe a little bit upset, and Dana also sees the writing on the wall, which is he's going to have to let a lot of people go. I think the UFC is going to lose a bunch of people. Now, everybody in the wrestling world is scared that the WWE is not going to be able to hire people and people are going to get fired and this and that. Pump the brakes. I'll talk about what's going to happen to the WWE under this new management tomorrow night on Wrestling Uncensored at 10 o'clock, which will be after SmackDown, where Triple H is set to address the WWE Universe. So I don't know what that means, but Triple H might be quitting tomorrow night, which adds another wrinkle to this story, right? So we'll talk about that tomorrow on Wrestling Uncensored. But as far as how this affects the UFC, I think it's going to hurt the UFC in a major way as far as the people that work for the company. Because they're merging the companies, right? Who do you think is going to win when it comes to what production team gets chosen? WWE or UFC? You know what I mean?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah. But are they going to use the same production team?
Yeah, of course. They have to. They're going to they're going to consolidate so much because it's now under one company. The touring, the production, so much. The TV production, the live event production, so much of what the UFC does, the WWE does, but better. And they've been doing it longer, and they have more experience, and they do bigger shows and bigger events and more often. The WWE runs way more often than UFC does. They've been running for longer, and they've been running in way more countries and way more places than the UFC's ever been.
Super chat.
They're a more established company. And Vince is higher up on the food chain in the corporate structure. So I see this as UFC. If I'm a UFC employee right now, working in production of the commercials or whatever they're doing, I'm nervous. Because I know that there's people in WWE that do this job and they have an infrastructure that's a little bit further along. I mean, they were a publicly traded company. The UFC was not. It's a bigger company. There's more money behind the WWE. Just look at how much WWE was sold for compared to what UFC was sold for. Right? WWE was sold for nearly for over twice what the UFC was sold for. Double. I don't know.
Yeah, no, look, I agree. WWE is probably the bigger product in between both. But with that said, I don't know. I haven't read anything on it, but I would think that they're probably going to be both managed individually. You know, there's not going to be that many crossover. They're both two different companies, and they'll both have their own structure. And yes, when it comes to advertising and things like that, they'll probably learn from one another, and WWE probably has more to bring to the table than the UFC. But with that said, I mean, the UFC was owned by Endeavor. That's a pretty big company. So, at that level, there's pressure to perform already. So yeah, there's going to be more pressure to perform, and that's just big business. So I don't think that's too big of an issue. I don't know why Dana would be like hard to talk about it. Maybe he just doesn't want to be bothered about it. Maybe it's not something he doesn't really respect, or I don't know. I'm not sure what to think of Dana. But for now, I think I've more the positive where you'll be able to cross promote like the WWE with their big audience. They're going to be probably promoting some UFC events and vice versa. So I'll think more of the positive from this relationship. I think there's a lot of things that could come out of it that are good for both companies.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that there's a lot of room for some fun stuff for us. The fans, I think it's going to be great. I think that there's a lot of crossover there, and the possibilities now are endless, and they're way easier to make than they were before. I just want to give a shout-out to some of the people in the chat here, Fred. Sorry, just Grimskull dropped a $20 super chat. He's the super chat leader of the night. Thank you, Grimskull. Johnny North, who's going to be on with me tomorrow night, says his internet is down right now. He might not be on tomorrow. Stay tuned. Uh-oh. That's scary. Doug Hepburn dropped in a super chat. He says, Freddie, acknowledge the Tigers, damn it. Apparently the Tigers took 2 of 3 from the Astros.
I don't even watch baseball. I don't care. But yeah, go Tigers, man. Miguel Cabrera, is he still on that team?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That's the only guy I know. But yeah, go Cabrera. I'm pro. I like the Tigers, man. They got a nice stadium, everything. And to get back to the wrestling and UFC discussion, imagine like if like this pay-per-view this weekend is a pretty big pay-per-view, but imagine if it was promoted during the whole WrestleMania weekend. They would be giving us, commercials for Adesanya and Pereira, and who knows, even maybe running a vignette or something, a little promo clip where you get people going, man. That's how this is going to help both companies, man. This is how it's going to help them grow.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think had this deal been done, we might have seen Adesanya or Pereira or both at WrestleMania just sitting in the front row to kind of acknowledge and promote.
Exactly.
There's so much you could do. I kind of expect Vince to be in Miami this Saturday at the UFC pay-per-view just to check it out and get a feel for it. 15% says they said in their report they had redundancies in productions. People are going to get axed, no doubt. Who does better live production than WWE? Yeah, exactly. And Patrick C. Hamilton says, I read that NewCo will become a new publicly traded company. Yeah, that's the deal, right? WWE was a publicly traded company. They got bought out, and now this new company, UFC and WWE combined, will be a new publicly traded company. So that's taking the UFC to a different level. And again, I don't know. This could mean the end for Dana White. I think that this could be the beginning of the end for Dana White running the UFC. Because before it was Dana and his boss was Ari Emanuel, and that was it. But now Dana's got like 2 more layers of management he's got to deal with, more and more pressure on him. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank account at this point. I don't know how long Dana stays around here. I think that this is kind of the beginning of the end for Dana White, which is unfortunate for this company because, man, you imagine they have the 2 greatest promoters maybe in the history of planet Earth under one umbrella. I mean, that's crazy. Vince and Dana together? You keep that as long as you can.
I mean, the fact that you mentioned that there's more layers over Dana, that I could see it like something that might piss him off.
Yeah.
But as far as the pressure, I mean, the UFC, their deals are already like pretty signed with ESPN and things like that, and those numbers are pretty set in stone already. So I don't see how that should affect too much Dana. Look, we'll see, man. I think it's good news for both companies. Like I say, I look at the positive, and yeah, some people are going to lose their jobs. The first ones that should lose their jobs is whoever takes care of UFC merchandise.
Yeah.
Fire those guys right away. Don't even give them a second chance because their merchandise has sucked for years. But other than that, man, it's gonna be good, man. The UFC is gonna grow from this. This is what I'll tell you.
But again, if you look at this is a new company that they're going to form, right? They want to make as much money as possible. When these mergers happen, when these big buyouts happen, people get fired all the time, right? And if you look at who does what better, who does live event production better? WWE. Who does TV production better? WWE. Who does merchandise better? WWE. Like, in all these departments, WWE is going to win out, and a lot of people in the UFC are going to be, in trouble. So the UFC is going to look, I think, a little bit different going forward.
Like, you talk about production. I don't see the UFC ever doing, like, a big stage like WWE does at forget about WrestleMania, any pay-per-view. Like, UFC is going to stick to their simple entrance with the music and people walking. I don't think there'll ever be really fireworks or, I don't think it's the same. Maybe, but I don't see changes happening there for now.
I think they will. Because why not?
Evolve.
Yeah. I mean, I think people like that. I think people like fireworks and cool intros and video screens. I think the UFC intros, the entrances are a little weak, and they could have a little bit more behind them. I think they don't need to be as big and elaborate as the WWE, but I think just coming out of that dark hallway and walking to the ring with a song playing is fine, but it doesn't always work. It doesn't always get you hyped up. Sometimes it does, but not every time. And if you had a little bit of a ramp, a little bit of an entranceway, things might be more fun. UFC has done it before, way, way back. They've done entranceways and ramps and pyro and stuff. The Japanese MMA companies have done it for years, and it looks great when they do it. I don't have a problem with that. I kind of like a little bit more of an elaborate setup for the entrance. I think UFC needs a little bit WWE pizzazz, It won't hurt. It won't hurt. But it's a big change. I think it's going to be a big change for both companies. The WWE is going to change in a lot of ways, too. It's already changing. Vince seems to be back in charge, like in a major way, which is so crazy. It's so crazy. Again, and this company letting Vince McMahon, noted sex pervert, who had to pay off multiple women, he's just still in charge running the show with his weird mustache and hair. Have you seen this guy lately? Good God. Scary looking. And then Dana White, who's on TV slapping his wife. These are the guys that Endeavor chooses to allow to run their respective businesses. It's pretty surprising. It's pretty surprising. It's like, wow, these guys are, it's very corporate and it's very structured, but then at the same time, they're like, yeah, but the rules don't really apply to the big bosses. I don't want to start paying $60 a month for a PLE, a premium live event, or a pay-per-view, or whatever WWE is going to call it. Yeah, me either. And that's what every wrestling fan is worried about right now, right? They're like,
oh, they better not go there.
No, you better not go there, WWE, because nobody's going to buy those things. You think I'm going to pay $50 for Backlash? Check yourself, Vince. I am used to paying $12 a month for Backlash and all the other wrestling that you have in your entire library. Don't go back and start charging me $30 to $50 to $60 for one of these pay-per-views like Royal Rumble, because I'm not paying. Because, listen, the internet is vast and the internet is easy to figure out. Okay, Vince? Wink, wink. If you know what I mean.
Same.
It's pretty easy to figure out the internet and get around your little paying for bullshit, Vince. Not doing it.
Same thing, Dana.
Yeah, Dana. Well, Dana's charging already for his things, but he better not up the price because but let's
you
not.
See, if anything, UFC should learn from the WWE model and come in with a $14.99 a month. You get all the Fight Pass and all and
Yeah.
everything. You'd get so many, and if you included pay-per-views, man, subscriptions would like triple, quadruple.
Yeah. You could charge me $20 a month. $20. I would pay $20 a month if you gave me all the WWE and all the UFC combined. I'm already paying roughly that for Fight Pass and for the network separately. Just combine them and make it the greatest thing ever. Who would have thought WWE and UFC in the same show, same umbrella? Who would have thought? I mean, it's weird. It's almost like I was ahead of the trend about 20 years early. You know? It's almost like the Ringside Report Network has been here all along doing UFC and WWE. Right? Come on, guys. We know about this. They're like, UFC and WWE together, what a concept. I'm like, yeah. Obviously.
Fight fans.
What took you so long? You know what's crazy is that Shane McMahon wanted Vince to buy the UFC when he could have bought it for like, $2 million. Whoops.
World bodybuilding instead.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, I'm going to start a football league instead, Shane. This is a better idea. Idiot. What are you doing? People in wrestling.
He bought WWF for $1 million, I read.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad businessman.
Yeah, but that was back in the late 70s.
Still, you may.
He bought WCW for like, it was like $3 or $4 million in the late 90s or early 2000s, right? What the hell? How did that happen? I don't understand how he pulled that off. WCW was so cheap. Like, how did he buy that for such a good deal? Vince always makes the best business deals for himself. Like, this deal is fantastic. He's still in charge. He still gets to run WWE, and now he kind of gets to run the UFC, too. Like, he's got a say in what happens in the UFC. He could tell Dana, like, listen, pal, you can't do that now, Which is great, which is so funny. He gets billions of dollars in a payoff of selling his company that he's still somehow in charge of. They're paying him $1.2 million a year for the next 2 years, and he gets to keep his intellectual property. So his likeness, they've got to pay him extra if they want to use that, which none of his talent have ever had. They don't pay Hogan extra every time they use him, but Vince is going to get a little extra. You want to use Vince in a video game? Pay Vince. You want to make a Vince t-shirt, a Vince DVD? Pay Vince. You want to show Vince on TV in a highlight package? Pay Vince. None of his wrestlers got that ever in the history of the company. He got that. Vince got himself the sweetest deal ever. Again, he keeps getting away with it. And now he looks like the evil villain that he's always been known to be with that mustache. My God. Looks evil. It's amazing. I just can't believe how he's done this. Again, the dastardly Vince McMahon. I love it. I want to show him. Look how evil that guy looks. Look how evil. What is going on there? What?
Triple H looks older.
No, he doesn't. Triple H looks great. What are you talking about? Too bad Triple H is he's got health problems, because Triple H versus Dana White at WrestleMania next year. Oh baby. What are you giving odds of Dana White wrestling?
0.
Really?
Yeah,
I think they're gonna make him do it. I think he does it. I think he makes an appearance at least at WrestleMania. At least he's got.
He doesn't wrestle.
How about
Maybe
this?
He could beat up on The Miz.
I saw an interview with Brock Lesnar. Daniel Cormier interviewed Brock Lesnar WrestleMania weekend, right? And Brock was telling Daniel Cormier, like, hey, with this news now that it's all one company, maybe we could finally fight. And Daniel Cormier is like, no, I don't want to fight anymore. I'm done fighting. Now, hold on. Brock Lesnar wants to fight? John Jones, where are you at? Let's go. I mean, this was the fight we were supposed to have years ago. Remember that? There was big rumors of John Jones and Brock Lesnar. John Jones is now finally the heavyweight champion of the world. He's about to beat Stipe at some point this summer. You're telling me we can't get John Jones and Brock Lesnar in the octagon together? If John Jones is about to retire after beating Stipe, right? Let's do a Brock fight. I mean, as long as these guys are still alive and still willing to fight, why the hell not? Why not? Even if Brock gets destroyed, who cares?
I've actually put a timer on that, man, and Brock's fight at WrestleMania was about 6 minutes, and the one in Montreal was under 6 minutes also. So, like, I just don't think Brock could go 3 even and not even forget about 5 rounds with John Jones. That wouldn't be a fair fight, man. John Jones would kill him.
How long did Cyril Gann last? Nobody was saying that was not fair fight. Everybody said, oh, Cyril Gann, that's a good fight. Even our buddy AJ thought he was going to win.
Brock's a shell of himself, man. Come on, man. All the muscles are gone. It's not the same Brock.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But, I mean, box office, Fred. Come on, man. We got Jorge Masvidal fighting this weekend. Let's get real.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see Jorge Masvidal talking about shell of his former self. Good God. The only guy that doesn't realize Jorge Masvidal is past his prime is Jorge Masvidal. What is happening with this guy? I'm excited about the WWE UFC stuff. I'm telling you, Fred, it's now easier to get Brock Lesnar in a fight in the UFC. It's now easier to get UFC guys into the WWE. Ronda Rousey might fight again now. There's all sorts of possibilities. I'm telling you. Possibilities are endless.
Come on, man. You're dreaming a little bit here.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey's not fighting again in the UFC.
Well, Conor McGregor's probably going to wrestle. How about that? Conor's talking trash. You hear what Heyman said about Conor?
I think I read it. I forget what it was. But
man, Heyman was so good. Heyman's like, so Conor's like, watch out, you watch your mouth or I'll knock you out, you old man, you know? He called him an old man or something, grandpa. And Heyman's like, yeah, well, I'm 57. Let's see if Conor McGregor's still relevant when he's 57. Let's see if Conor McGregor's still alive when he's 57, given his lifestyle. I was like, oh, shit. That's harsh, man.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's so harsh. Because when he said it, I was like, damn, he's got a point. Like, I wonder if he'll be alive at 57. Conor seems to live in a wild lifestyle, you know? I don't know.
I got no issues with that, man. I'm pro truth, no matter how uncomfortable it gets, man. So you want to trash talk, man? Trash talk back, Paul.
The great part is, Heyman can say whatever he wants about Conor McGregor, and if Conor McGregor ever shows up, well, Heyman could just call his buddy Brock over and say, hey, could you handle this little guy for me? And then Brock just squishes him like a bug because he outweighs him by like 200 pounds.
Even Roman is pretty big for Conor.
You think Roman could beat Conor in a fight?
I think size matters in a fight, man.
Yeah, but not necessarily when one guy has a lot of skill and the other guy has none,
I mean, Conor could probably knock out Roman because he'll have a huge advantage standing up.
Yeah.
But if Roman manages to spear him, man, and gets on top of him, man, and just starts like, boom.
If he hits that Superman punch, if Roman goes, hoo-ah, it's over, baby.
No, the ooh-ah is what's going to open him to Conor's jab and all that. Yeah. So you better stay away from them.
Mm-hmm. What if he does that jumping Superman punch, though? How does Conor stop that?
I'm telling you, the spear, man, gets it's like a double leg takedown almost.
Yeah. And it's taken out how many guys in the WWE, right? Even everybody's favorite, Cody Rhodes, went down to the spear at WrestleMania. Everybody goes down to the spear, baby. Tribal Chief.
So how long, here's my WWE take. I'm happy Roman won.
Me too.
Only thing I'll say about that, though, is, man, if he didn't lose the title at WrestleMania, man, He can't lose the title at some stupid pay-per-view like Backlash or even like SummerSlam or whatever. Like if you've committed to him being the champion, now you got to commit to him being the champion. Like how much bigger of a story can it get like for him? Like to build another contender, they're going to have some work to do, man. That's the only thing I'll say. To build another credible contender, they got some work to do.
I think they have 2 credible contenders right off the bat. In Seth Rollins, who's very credible, especially after beating the boy Logan Paul, right?
Maybe.
Seth is always credible against Roman because of their history, and Roman hasn't cleanly defeated Seth, right? Also, I think Randy Orton's about to come back, and he'd be a hell of an opponent for Roman. Randy's established. He's a megastar. I think Randy and Roman is big. And then if Cody can beat Brock, because they're doing Cody-Brock, right? Brock attacked Cody at the end of Raw on Monday. If Cody can beat Brock, if they put Cody over Brock, and then Cody beats maybe a guy or 2, I think you can set him up against Roman possibly at SummerSlam, and he could beat Roman then.
It can't get any bigger than it got for Cody at WrestleMania, so I feel like...
I disagree.
You can make that moment bigger?
Yeah. There's always more money in the rematch, brother. You know that. Always. Always. You could always make it bigger. There's always a way to make it bigger. It's wrestling, man. There's always a way to make it bigger and hotter. You just got to do it right. People that say, oh, it was the peak and you're never going to get Cody this hot again. Well, then Cody was never that good to begin with. If you can't make Cody that good, if you can't make Cody that top guy, well, then Cody is not the guy to beat Roman. If that was the peak Cody and he's never going to get better than that, then why would you want him to win? You know? It doesn't make sense to me. Also, everybody was loving the Bloodline. Everybody's like, this Roman Reigns thing, the Bloodline is the best thing going in the WWE. It's amazing. All of a sudden, their favorite guy loses, and they're like, this sucks. This is stupid. They don't know what they're doing. And it's like,
no, that was great.
You don't like one turn in the story, and all of a sudden, you're like, this is all bad. You love the whole thing, and then they make one move that you're like, I don't like this, and now they're all idiots. Like, come on.
That was great.
Yeah, I thought it was a smart move. I thought it was the move to make. I explained why it was the move to make on the preview show, and it's exactly what they did. It was smart. And Vince can go to Ari Emanuel now and say, hey, look at this, pal. You know, this guy, Cody Rhodes, he was a loser. And he left my company, and he started the competition, and I brought him back, and I made him lose to my top guy at WrestleMania. You know he's having a good laugh. You know, he's like, I built him up. He thought he was going to win. And then he lost to Roman Reigns. He's having a good laugh about that. I am too. It's great. It's exactly what I would have done. You sign it. Yeah, Cody. Yeah, come to WWE. We'll treat you nice. We'll give you a big fat check. Sure. Come. Yeah, you'll win. Oh, you want to beat Roman? Sure. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, probably. And then, yeah. Oh, you win the Rumble. You beat Seth. You do all this stuff. Sure, Cody. Yeah. You're great. You're going down to Roman tonight, though. Okay, buddy? What? You saw Cody's face, too, when he walked out. He had a little bit of the boo-boo face. He's kind of like...
Yeah.
He looked a little mad.
I was going to say that.
Cody thought he was going to win, too. You know, Cody, weeks into it, he was like, I'm winning this. They're pushing me to the moon. And then I'm sure when they told him, he was like,
oh, what?
They're doing it to me. They're getting me, you know? This is what they do to people. This is what they do, and this is what they've always done. They will sign you. They will promise you the moon. They will pay you, but you will lose to their guy. That's what you're there for. And you know what, man?
Like what you mentioned, Cody's walkout. I could feel also an extra arrogance in Roman Reigns' the way he was looking at Cody. Like at the beginning of the match, it was like Roman was giving it to him just in the look, man.
Yeah, and half of that is character, but half of that is like, it's me. I'm still the guy. Because Cody thought he was going to come in and take the ball from Roman and run with it. He thought he was going to be the new top guy in WWE. And Roman's like, no, still my spot, right?
I dig this Roman who's embracing the heel in him, man. And he's a much better heel than he's a face, man.
Oh, yeah.
Roman is good. Roman is good to hate, and he's enjoying it right now. So it makes him even better. Props to Roman.
This run has been tremendous. tremendous run for Roman Reigns. I've been loving it. Doug Hepburn says, happy Passover, Dave. Disappointed MJF didn't mention the Seder on Dynamite. You're right, it would have killed. Yeah, I thought MJF would have mentioned Passover on Dynamite last night. He did tweet out something earlier tonight that I had to retweet because I thought it was so goddamn funny. Fred, this one's for you from MJF. I just have to show this before we preview UFC 287. MJF is just such a heel. He's so pro-Jewish. It's fantastic. I love him. Happy Passover, you filthy animals, and if you're a disgusting Gentile, eat shit. Oh, God. And then his T-shirt is great, too. Jewish holidays. 1, they tried to kill us. 2, we won. 3, let's eat. Fucking tremendous. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's my champion right there. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Better than you, and you know it. What a guy. What a guy. Fred, you know what a Gentile is?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. No disrespect. Imagine, I showed that to, my kid's mom over here. And she's like, imagine if somebody tweeted that out, if Chris Jericho did that about, Christmas and Christians and stuff, and if you're somebody else, eat shit. I was like, yeah, it probably wouldn't have gone over as well. I don't know how MJF, if you're not a Jew,
I'll be
eat
honest,
shit.
I don't like MJF
Basically,
no more.
what he's saying is if you're like a non-Jew, eat shit. And I
was his biggest fan at the beginning, and it has nothing to do with that. I was his biggest fan at the beginning. I would compare him to the $1 Million Man. I feel he has like this arrogance in him from the $1 Million Man, and I loved it. And the moment I turned on him was when he became champion and started to just believe a little bit too much of his shit. I remember, I forget who it was who was a long time ago dissing Hulk Hogan, saying, "Oh, this guy, he walks into the airport in his tights and things like that. He really believes that he's Hulk Hogan," and that's the feeling I got from MJF. Is at some point, bro, man, you're a professional wrestler, man. Stay in your lane, man. Especially when you're dissing UFC guys.
Yeah. He's bold to do it though, right?
Yeah, he's in character, man. I guess so, man. But some of it is a little too much. Also, I didn't like when he attacked the kid, man. Why you attack a kid?
Yeah, you can't do that to a kid. I didn't like that either, but for the most part, I like him. So I kind of almost forgave him for that, but it was I want he crossed the line.
To beat him, even if it's Daniel Bryan.
I don't think it'll be him. Maybe Darby or
Darby
maybe CM
sucks.
Punk. Might be CM Punk.
You see, I've watched 3 wrestling events this year. I watched the Royal Rumble, I watched Elimination Chamber, and I watched WrestleMania. And that's the perfect way to watch wrestling, man. Just watch a little bit of it. Don't watch too much of it. But I'll tell you what, man. I haven't watched a single second of AEW, but I'll tell you what, man. WWE is still the king of wrestling, man. They are. They just are, man. Sorry, AEW, man. I see your pictures of your events with crowds that look awful and all that, man. WWE is still the king, man. WWE for life.
Yeah, I mean, they're still the biggest wrestling company in the world for sure.
They're the king.
AEW does some good stuff, too. AEW's going to go to London for a pay-per-view in August. They're going to do Wembley Stadium. They're trying to sell like 80,000, 90,000 tickets. That's a big crowd.
I mean, they'll probably do it over there, but they can't do anything consistent here, it feels, man. And also that Tony Khan, man, I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of his, man. He looks... I see all the memes of him like, rush to the yayo. And he really gives me that impression.
Yeah. The more I see him, the less I like him.
I don't like him, man. He's annoying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Team WWE,
I mean, AEW's definitely got some problems, and I would say the WWE is looking more consistent and stronger right now, but I think Vince is maybe back in charge, and Triple H might be leaving, so give it a couple months and see what happens, because WWE is about to go off the rails. It's about to go... like, they just got bought, and the show is about to just take a turn for the worse. Everything is going to go to shit. It's great. They're like, hey, we bought this thing, and now we're going to tank it. Cool. All right. Let's do it, Fred. UFC 287 coming up Saturday night. We're going to do a watch-along. I think we'll have AJ back for that, right?
Sure.
Unless AJ still doesn't have power, which you never know. The power's bad, right? Everybody's lost power everywhere. Thankfully, I still have power.
I think they fixed a lot of it still. They did a lot of good work today.
It was like an ice storm. A storm of ice. God. But we're back. We got no ice storms in Miami, that's for sure. I don't think they've ever had an ice storm, right? Alex Pereira, he doesn't know what an ice storm is. This big Brazilian man, he's never seen ice in his life. This guy. Ice in his veins, though, right? Cold as ice, baby. He's a killer. Alex Pereira, he's a UFC middleweight champion. He's fighting Israel Adesanya. It's the rematch. These guys, you know the story. They fought twice in kickboxing. Pereira won both. They fought in MMA. Pereira won, knocked Israel out, Adesanya, in the 5th round back in November. And they're back. I thought Adesanya was winning the fight, but in the end he lost. Odds right now have Israel Adesanya as a slight favorite minus 137, Alex Pereira plus 110. I'll take that. Because to me, like, some guys are good at positions, some guys are good at being in charge of the fight, and some guys are finishers. And to me, you could be winning the fight all you want, but if you lose the fight at the end of the fight, well, all that winning the fight doesn't really mean anything. So Israel Adesanya was winning the fight, and he was doing real well, but at the end, he got knocked out. And I feel similar to the way I felt in the Leon Edwards-Kamaru Usman rematch, where, again, Edwards was coming in as the underdog. A lot of people were picking Usman to win. Usman was controlling Leon in that first fight. And then the second fight, well, I guess it was the third fight technically, but, you know, the second title fight, it was a different story. Leon Edwards was controlling that fight. It was all Leon. So, I think it's going to go very similar to that other Leon Edwards Kamaru Usman fight where, you know, Israel Adesanya may have been leading the fight the first time, but this time I think Pereira is going to be leading the fight. And I think it's going to be much more decisive in Pereira's corner. So I got Alex Pereira winning this fight. I think it goes to a decision. I've got Pereira by decision. I don't think he'll knock out Israel. I think Israel will be cautious. But I think because he'll be a little cautious, because he'll be a little bit gun-shy, he'll be losing on points, and he'll just lose the fight on points. I think he'll be defensive because he knows he's got to be defensive because the guy knocked him out last time. But he might be a little bit over-defensive, and I think he's going to lose the fight. The over-under 4.5 rounds, under 4.5 minus 134, over plus 105. And Pereira by decision is plus 500. So you might want to take a look at that as well, or just go straight Pereira plus 110. But that's how I'm feeling.
Pereira by knockout?
Pereira by knockout is plus 200.
Because that would be the outcome I think is most likely for Pereira. Because the only thing that scares me of a Pereira decision would be that I think Israel won most of the rounds last fight. Like, you know, Israel was up on the scorecards. Israel had a winning strategy. Israel made a mistake and got knocked out. Did he make a mistake or did Pereira go get the knockout? I'm not sure. It's a little bit of both probably. But if this goes to decision, I think Israel probably finds a way to correct that mistake and wins the decision. Israel's best bet to win, I think, is a decision, whereas Pereira probably needs to finish him. So I'm going to pick Pereira again. I think maybe he just has his number. You know, there's something that he has against Israel that he knows how to take advantage, and like once in kickboxing, once in MMA, he knocked him out. I mean, he knows how to do it. So I'm going to go with Pereira getting a knockout and maybe being a little bit more aggressive earlier in the fight and not having to go, because I think it went 5 rounds last time. It was in the 5th round that he knocked him out. So maybe it happens a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go with Pereira winning by knockout.
Wow, we're unanimous here with Alex Pereira. I just think Israel's going to be a little too defensive to get knocked out again, but it could happen. It could happen. We've got Alex Pereira winning. I like it. We're going with the underdog. My buddy Jeremy Prophet, who's one of the best pro wrestlers in Canada, he sends me his picks on Twitter, and he's going with Alex Pereira too. Good man, Jeremy Prophet. Catch him wherever you can. If you're a pro wrestling fan, he is fantastic. So we've got Alex Pereira winning the rematch. I don't like Israel Adesanya's vibe going into this. Have you watched any of the embeddeds or?
I just saw him with some weird necklace.
Yeah.
And
it was a
but
dog
he's a
collar.
weird guy. He's a weird guy, man. I mean, I'm old, so I don't get all those, young guys and all that. So this is a generational gap, I don't get Israel, but I love him as a fighter, man. He's a great fighter.
He's 33. I mean, he's not that much younger than you.
I mean, 45, man.
I guess. He's not that much younger than me. All right? How about that? I was like, I think he's roughly my age. I don't know, Fred. He doesn't seem like he's that old.
See, I thought he was younger than that. I thought I would have said he's under 30. I didn't know he was that old.
No, he's 33. Pereira's 35. These guys are in my age group. You're not that much older than these guys, Fred. I got Pereira. Fred's got Pereira. Who do you guys have in the chat? Israel or Pereira? You guys think Israel Adesanya is going to come through? Shout out to everybody watching us on YouTube. By the way, YouTube, Rumble. Everybody checking us out on Rumble. We love you, Rumblers. Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere else. Shout out to Lior, one of the members of the team over at join.ringsidereport.net. He wants Gunther to take the title from Roman Reigns. I mean, I could see it. Gunther. I love Gunther. That's a badass guy right there. Give Gunther a UFC fight. Oh, baby. Put that guy in there.
But he's got to keep that Intercontinental title for a while still, man. He's bringing back prestige to it, man. Great performer. He'll be there one day.
Let me ask you something. Was there an NBA player who was it an NBA guy who got in trouble for showing guns in a thing, Instagram or something, TikTok?
Yeah, Ja Morant.
Why did he get in trouble?
Well, I think he got suspended because basically his video happened in an away city. He plays for Memphis, and it was in Denver, and the NBA has rules about traveling with guns that they're not allowed because there's been old issues. If you want to read a crazy story, just Google Gilbert Arenas.
Oh, he shot himself. I remember that. Gilbert Arenas, yeah.
No, that was Plaxico Burress in football that shot himself.
I thought Gilbert Arenas also shot himself.
Maybe, but he brought a gun once into a locker room and got in a fucking argument that was like pretty intense and put the gun on somebody and things like that. So, so yeah, they got rules about traveling with guns now in the NBA. So I think that's why he got suspended.
Okay, I thought he was just in trouble because he was an NBA player showing himself with guns. Because I saw Jorge Masvidal just posing on Embedded with guns, or a gun, like a big gun thing at his house, acting like he's Tony Montana or something. I don't know what's going on with this guy. It's odd behavior.
Well, I mean, he's made a lot of money, so he's spending it and he's having fun. Look, Jorge Masvidal he's a great marketing guy because he put that 2 seconds of success against Ben Askren and he turned it into millions and millions of dollars, and props to him. But let's be honest, man, he's been a journeyman most of his MMA career. He's a great fighter, but he's not elite, man. And I think he's going to lose to Gilbert Burns. I got Gilbert Burns probably by submission. I could see this. I could see Gilbert Burns tapping Masvidal and getting the win that way. That's going to be my call.
Yeah. Gilbert Burns can beat Jorge Masvidal any way he wants, right? Jorge Masvidal, you got to see him on the Embedded. You got to just skip to the Masvidal parts on the Embedded. Because this guy is playing gangster, playing da-da-da. He is acting like such a child, and he's older than I am. Get it together, Jorge Masvidal. You're older than me. And I'm an old guy with 2 kids. I mean, what are you doing, man? Pointing guns, hanging around with guys with their faces all tatted up, looking all scary. Like, I don't know who he's hanging out with. I don't know what he's doing, but he's trying to convince the world, oh, yeah, man, I'm really pumped up and I'm training and I'm about to do violencia on everybody. It's like, no, you're not, dude. We don't believe you. We've seen you in the octagon. I'm going to kill Kobe Covington one day. I'm going to get him in the cage. I'm going to kill him. Yeah?
No,
then how
won't.
come you didn't kill him last time you fought him, man? He fucking destroyed you. What are you talking about? Jorge Masvidal's talking all this shit, and it's like, dude, you don't back it up. You're not backing it up. You're attacking Kobe Covington in parking lots, and people are applauding you because you're the lesser of 2 evils. Because people hate Kobe Covington more than they hate you. But let me tell you something, Jorge Masvidal. You're a fucking joke, dude. You're a joke. You're not a gangster. And if you are, you fucking shouldn't be. You should be a pro athlete. Stick to what you know. Stay in your fucking lane. You're making millions of dollars as a UFC fighter. Why are you jeopardizing that shit with little fucking thug bullshit? You're 38 years old. Fucking act like it, dude. You're a professional athlete. You've got children. You're 38. Get it together, Masvidal. You're making money in the UFC. You're not Tony Montana. If you want to sell cocaine, go fucking sell cocaine. Okay? Good luck. You're going to wind up dead or in jail. Good luck to you, my friend, because that seems like who you're trying to be. I don't know what this gimmick is, but it is fucking ludicrous. And all this shit he talks and all this nonsense, I'm not buying it. And the fact that the UFC is putting this poor old guy against Gilbert Burns is fucking tremendous, because Gilbert Burns is a real UFC fighter who's really in his prime, who's really a killer, who's really gonna do violencia upon Jorge Masvidal. And then where will Masvidal be? He'll be 4 straight losses in the UFC, 38 years old, wondering what next fucking catchphrase he can do or what else he can fucking... I don't know what this guy is up to, but it is just... It's sad, man. It's sad, and it's a little bit annoying because people are applauding this guy like he's some sort of hero. There is fucking nothing heroic
gangster
about
culture,
this
man.
Wannabe gangster. You know what's not gangster? Standing in a suit at fucking Mar-a-Lago, hanging out in the crowd. Donald Trump, cheering for Donald Trump. There's nothing gangster about hanging out in a fucking suit at Mar-a-Lago with a bunch of 75-year-old white people, okay? Nothing gangster about that, Jorge Masvidal. That's a bitch move. Fucking, that's what Kobe Covington would want to do. And that's what you're doing, Masvidal. Like, Masvidal and Covington are fucking the same guy, basically. Unbelievable. He really pisses me off. I don't like Jorge Masvidal. I don't like what he represents. I don't like how he acts. And I think he does a disservice to the great sport of mixed martial arts because he's promoting this element of gangster and this and that. And there's nothing behind it. There's no honor. There's no respect. He's getting into fights with everybody, and it's never in the cage. His biggest hits are outside of the cage. He's not doing shit in the cage. It's just, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to MMA, man. I like martial arts. I like honor. I like respect. I like athleticism. I like fighting because you're trying to see who's the better fighter, who's got the better skills. Not fighting because you're trying to hurt somebody or I'm going to kill somebody in the octagon. I remember a time when Frank Mir said he was going to kill Brock Lesnar in the octagon, and people were like, whoa, Frank Mir, that's fucking too much, and he had to apologize. Jorge Masvidal says he's going to kill Kobe Covington in the octagon, and people were like, yeah, when? I can't wait. Come on, man. What happened to MMA?
I like trash talk, but I like when it makes sense. Jorge, you don't make sense, man. Kobe dominated you, so just accept your defeat and all that. But hey, remember a couple of weeks ago, man, I told you I didn't like that story about Floyd Mayweather circling Jake Paul with all his homeboys.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing with Jorge, man. What are you doing attacking somebody in a restaurant, man? What type of stupidness is that, man? Mm-hmm. And you say like he's not a gangster. I think he thinks he's a gangster and he lives that life in his head. But I mean, you're a fucking millionaire UFC fighter, man. Why you doing stupid stuff like that, man? You're gonna end up spending a fortune on lawyer fees, on stupidness, man. And one day you'll probably end up broke because you spent all your money on stupidness, man. Come on, Jorge, man. Fuck that gangster stupidness, man. Just enjoy making millions and enjoy it. I mean, fuck it.
Save your money. Save your money. Try to leave it for your kids and not spend it on lawyer fees because you couldn't keep your hands to yourself fighting Kobe Covington in a goddamn parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. What good does that do, man? That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like to fight somebody and sucker punch him. Come on, man. And
it's, the fight fans are promoting this. The fight fans like this. Jorge Masvidal he's a babyface in the UFC. He's a hero. The people are cheering him. But he's going to get smashed by Gilbert Burns. Like, he is nowhere near the upper level of the UFC welterweight division. The fact, when they booked him against Kobe, I was like, damn, they're serving up Jorge to the lions. And now with Gilbert Burns, it's almost worse. Gilbert Burns is a monster.
Might be his last UFC fight. If he loses bad, where does he go from there? The only fight that would make sense for Jorge is to fight Conor. Conor, I feel if Michael Chandler is a guy that's pretty active, that's pretty in shape. If you're Conor McGregor, you should be fighting Masvidal, a guy that's, fighting people in parking lots instead of training like an animal. Like I'm not convinced that Jorge Masvidal is training like an animal to be the best version of himself to fight Gilbert Burns. Jorge Masvidal, he's taking this fight seriously. I have no doubt. At the same time, man, he's made a lot of money. He's 37. I don't know. I don't think Jorge's going to lose bad. We'll see what happens from there. Maybe the UFC. I don't know what's his contract situation, but he signed a big contract. He costs a lot of money, and he loses a lot. So at some point, man, the UFC is going to just say, hey, let's move on.
Gilbert Burns is 36. He's a little bit older than I thought. He's
hungrier.
But yeah, I think he's hungrier. Also, he wore overalls to the press conference today. Never fight a man in overalls. That's a dangerous man. Brock Lesnar wears overalls, so that's serious.
Not even
business.
sure what overalls are.
It's like you got the pants, but they come up, and there's like a bib, and they got the thing over top. That they got like suspenders on top. Overalls.
Okay.
Coveralls. No.
Googling, man. I'm not even sure how to spell it. Okay. And salopette.
Yeah, exactly. Salopette. Exactly. Oh, I haven't heard that word since elementary school. I love it. Doug Hepburn dropping a super chat. He says, you guys make too much sense. We need AJ. Yeah. This is how the show used to be, Fred. It used to be just me and you. AJ wasn't on the show for a long time. AJ would just listen to the show, and he would text me. He was like kind of affiliated with the show, but I'd only use him once in a while to replace Fred when we needed a replacement for Fred whenever Fred was off or something, But AJ was not really part of the show. But then Johnny North and Wally from Ireland were like, we like this guy, AJ. Maybe have him on more often with you and Fred. And I was against it, but Fred said, why not? And, the rest is history, and we have AJ. But I was against it. For the record, AJ knows I was against it. Everybody knows I was against having AJ full-time. I'm still against having AJ full-time, but, what can I do now? It's too late. But, this is how the show used to be. It used to be me and Fred for years, and then all of a sudden, AJ showed up, and the whole show went to shit. But, we used to have a quality MMA program. This reminds me of the good old days when we had a good show where we talked about fights, and we made sense, and we weren't just, cheerleading for whoever was the flavor of the month. We talked about Conor McGregor just there, and nobody mentioned like a rematch with Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? Like, it was good.
Or that he's one fight away from a title. Or
yeah, right. By the way, Conor still hasn't entered the USADA testing pool, right? Like, this dude's never fighting. He's never fighting. He's going to go to WWE because, he'll pass their drug test. I'm
telling you also, Chandler's a bad matchup for him, man. Chandler right now is a hungry man that trains hard, that's ready for, that's not the type of fight that Conor's ready for, man. I don't believe Conor's ready to go, punch for punch for 3-5 rounds. Connor doesn't.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced.
You might be right. I think Masvidal is a better matchup for him.
Oh, of course.
Okay, so we've got Pereira and Burns winning. How about the rest of this? Rob Font and Adrian Yanez. You have a winner there?
I don't know. Rob Font.
All right. Solid pick. I think Font is the underdog. Plus 150. Yanez minus 185. We got Kevin Holland taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio. I never know what to expect from Kevin Holland because sometimes he looks great and sometimes he looks absolutely terrible, like he wants to lose. You know?
And I look who Ponzinibbio lost to. Some pretty good guys, you know. He lost to Pereira, Jeff Neal, Li Jinglang. Those guys are still solid fighters. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I like also his odd Ponzinibbio at plus 200.
Yeah,
it's not a bad pick.
Yeah, I would go with Ponzinibbio in that fight. I can't pick Kevin Holland to win a fight.
He's inconsistent. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. You said it. We don't know what version's gonna come out.
He's already fighting with Masvidal in the hotel. You know, this guy's not focused.
Last time he was fighting with who? With Diaz or what was it last time? You know when there was the whole shuffle there.
Yeah.
It was with
Hamzat.
With
no,
Khamzat.
it wasn't with.
Yeah.
And then he wound up fighting Hamzat, and we all know how that went. Pretty quick.
Exactly.
Pretty quick loss there for Holland. The kid, Raul Rosas Jr. He's fighting.
He's gonna win
against Christian Rodriguez. Yeah, I mean they're promoting him, right? He's one of the guys. They're putting him on the pay-per-view. I think it's his second UFC fight ever. So obviously the UFC, they have high hopes for this guy, Raul Rosas Jr. I think the youngest guy ever signed to a UFC contract. He's only 18 years old. He was 18 his last fight. He's still 18. I mean, that's how young this kid is. Ridiculous. He won real quick, too. Beat his last opponent in the first round with a rear naked choke. Christian Rodriguez is a step up in competition, though. 8-1. 25 years old. Coming off a win. Choke in the first round. This is a test for Rosas. And, you know, the UFC likes to promote guys, but they also like to test guys. Odds makers have Rosas as the favorite. Get you the odds here in a second.
Minus 250.
Yeah. Rodriguez plus 200. I think that minus 250 is a little bit heavy for Rosas because of the hype. And because people figure that the UFC is setting him up to win. But I think Christian Rodriguez is a live underdog at plus 200. I might put a couple bucks on Rodriguez just because you never know. A lot of these, I mean, he's 18. How good can he really be? You know what I mean? How good can you get at martial arts at 18? Answer, very good.
You look
very good. Yeah, no, he's good. He's good. But Rodriguez is not like a bad fighter. You know, he's solid. He's got a good record. He's good. He's 25. He's getting better. This is a live fight. Rosas is getting a heavy number there, minus 250, I think because there's hype behind him, but I don't know. Chris Curtis, the action man, taking on Kelvin Gastelum. You know, Kelvin Gastelum is only like 31, I think. He's been fighting the UFC forever. He's 31 years old, been fighting in the UFC since 2013. He won the Ultimate Fighter when he was 21. 10 years in the UFC. I mean, that's a career, man. He's lost 2 straight. I think he loses this one, too. I've got Curtis. I'm a big fan of Chris Curtis. Guy's got great hands, solid boxer, heavy hands. Knocks people out big time. I think he's going to knock Gastelum out. I've got Chris Curtis as the underdog. I think he's only the underdog because Gastelum is a bigger name. You want to give me a parlay?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it simple, man. I'm going to go with 2 underdogs and try to make some money. And I'm going to go with Ponzinibbio and Pereira.
Ooh, that is simple. I like it. It's a simple parlay. It's a Team Fred parlay. And you know what? It cashes in big time if it hits. It really does. Plus 200 is Santiago Ponzinibbio. Plus 110 is Alex Pereira. $20 will get you. Check this out. Check this out. What? 128.52 on a 2-fight parlay. I mean, that's a good payout right there. And I could see this parlay coming through here. Ponzinibbio and Pereira. Okay. Let's give you a Team Dave parlay. Let me see what I got for you. I think I'm going to go with Pereira, too, because I really like Pereira to win. I'm going to throw Gilbert Burns on that fire because I think he's a lock. And I'm going to give you the Action Man. I'm going to give you a little bit of a different parlay than what Fred has given you. Mine doesn't pay off quite as well. It's a 3-fight parlay. We've got Alex Pereira. We're going with Gilbert Burns, and we're going with Chris Curtis, plus 108. 3 fights, $20 gets you, where are we? $20 gets you 109.09. Over at bet99.com. Use that promo code Ringside when you sign up to get a matching deposit bonus of up to $600. $20 gets you 109.09 with the Team Dave parlay. Curtis, Burns, Pereira. Not bad. Not bad. Should we do a big, crazy, super AJ parlay in AJ's honor?
But if we make one, we'll probably this is the one where AJ's going to come in. Yeah. So we got Pereira, we agree.
Yeah.
We got Burns, we agree.
Yeah.
We got Ponzinibbio.
Let's skip Font. Let's Ponzinibbio, yeah.
Rojas.
Go with Rosas?
Yeah.
All right. Curtis?
All right, Curtis.
Curtis?
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, what is it? A 5-fight parlay. That's an AJ special right there. There's exactly. The AJ parlay. He's not here, so we're going to make up a parlay for him. All right, AJ's in church. It's for sure going to hit, and AJ's going to claim responsibility for it. Alex Pereira, Gilbert Burns. Where are we? Santiago Ponzinibbio, Raul Rosas, Chris Curtis. What's going on? Except Chris Curtis. It's a 5-fight parlay, and it pays out $467.17. That's the AJ parlay, all right? That's what we're giving you. Curtis, Rosas, Ponzinibbio, Burns, and Pereira. 5-fight parlay for UFC 287. We will be here Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time for the UFC 287 watch-along. We'll be watching the pay-per-view here with you. We're going to be partying. We're going to be watching. We're going to be going strong. Patrick C. Hamilton dropping the 777 super chat. Thank you, Patrick. He says, I'm going with Fred's picks. Oh, he likes your parlay. I like your parlay, too. Ponzinibbio and Pereira. That's a good parlay. Patrick didn't like my parlay. Your parlay pays out better. And it's only 2 fights. My parlay doesn't pay out as much, and it's 3 fights. So, all right. I see you, Patrick. I also like... What did I say before? I wanted Pereira by decision. Plus 500. Let me just see what that pays out at plus 500. I mean, you could do the math, right? Pretty good.
That's a pretty big boost. It's 5 times what it was.
Yeah, right? So $10 gives you 60. $20 gives you $120 if you take Pereira by decision. Not a bad payout there at bet99.com. Okay. All right, Fred, do you have a NASCAR update? Do you want to do a little NASCAR before we go? Do you have anything?
I mean, I could talk to you about cool NASCAR nicknames, man. I didn't even know them. Like
okay,
Kyle
hold on. Let's do it. Hold on. Yeah.
My boy, Kyle Larson, man, champion 2 years ago, man. Last year was a so-so year, but, man, he's been with Hendrick Motorsports, who are the evil empire of NASCAR, as I told you, man, for 3 years now. And in those 3 years, he has double the wins that anybody else has in NASCAR. So he's been very good. I think most people that follow the sport will probably tell you he's probably the most talented driver that we have. And his nickname is Young Money, man. And it's spelled Y-U-N-G. I'm not sure why, but it's Young Money like that, Young Money. And the other guy that's pretty good, man, Ross Chastain. Last year, man, had a great season, but he was wrecking a bunch of people, and he's still wrecking people this year. And people like his opponents, they refer to him as the wrecking ball. So I kind of like that nickname also, but I don't think it's a good one for him. So unfortunately, hey, Young Money, he won last weekend, and they're going to Bristol Dirt this weekend. They're putting dirt on the track, racing on dirt. It's going to be sliding. It's going to be, they've been doing that for 2-3 years now. It's a super fun track because the origins of NASCAR are on dirt. So dirt racing,
bootleggers, right?
It's fun. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Young Money Records.
Money.
That was a Lil Wayne's record label. Young Money. Drake was on it. Nicki Minaj, big under Cash Money Records. Young Money.
And Michael Jordan looked pissed, man. Michael Jordan was at the race last week, and one of the zoom, the guys, the pit crew members, man, fucked up on the pit and cost like 20 seconds to his team. And Michael Jordan was like, he looked so mad on the pit box, man. Michael Jordan's taking that seriously, man. No matter the sport, he doesn't like losing, man.
He took that personally.
Oh, yeah. I think maybe the fact that he was there put pressure on everybody. They're like, oh, my God, Michael's there, man. I can't fuck up.
Yeah. You don't want Michael Jordan yelling at you. Imagine how sad that must be if, like, you're working on a pit crew, you happen to be on Michael Jordan's team, you're changing tires, and then all of a sudden you kind of screwed up on a nut or bolt. Michael Jordan comes down after the race, just starts yelling at you. You're like, I love you, Michael Jordan. He's like, yeah, you're a piece of shit. You're garbage. It's like, oh, man, your heart must break getting yelled at by MJ. It's got to kill.
I'm telling you.
It'd be sad. I wouldn't want to meet Michael Jordan and have him, like, hate me. It'd be so sad. Like, I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. Okay. Shout out to Grimskull. You're the Super Chat leader of the night. Thank you to Doug Hepburn as well, dropping the Super Chats, and Patrick C. Hamilton. Appreciate you guys supporting the Ringside Report Network. Members of the team. I saw Leor in the chat as well. I saw people wishing me a happy Passover as well. Happy Passover to you as well. I think it was Lauren wishing me a happy Passover. Happy Passover to everybody, all our friends. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Ramadan to everybody. Seeing everybody
happy birthday, Zola.
Happy birthday to Zola, my daughter, who's going to be a year old on Saturday, which is crazy.
Goes quick, huh?
Happy birthday to Fred's dad. Right? And shout out to everybody watching us on Rumble. Tommy, USMC, Golden Tulip, everybody checking us out over on Rumble. Appreciate you guys tuning in on the new platform. We're doing well on Rumble, and we appreciate everybody's support over on Rumble.com. And that's it. We'll be back here Saturday night for the UFC 287 watch-along, and I'll be back here tomorrow night with Johnny North, hopefully with Johnny North, right? Fingers crossed. 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be back for sure talking pro wrestling tomorrow night. It's been a hell of a week in pro wrestling, and we'll try and sift through it all tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Wrestling Uncensored, right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.